Hey there. Thanks for coming. I don't know whether how to start this video. The title is Raising the Dead and Churning the Ocean of Milk to Create the Nectar of Immortality. Well, I think the best way to start is talking about the nectar of immortality. The nectar of immortality is a substance that brings people back from the dead. And the story behind this is that there's a battle between the gods and the demons, or if you want to put it in Christian terms, between the angels and the devils, plural. In order to, and the priest for the demons, his name was Shukra, and he had the ability to bring people back to life. So as the demons and the uh, angels fought, some of the angels would be killed. You didn't know angels could be killed, did you? So they were quite upset about this, the angels, and they went to the creator of the universe. And he says, well, there is somebody that knows the answer. And he said, you should go see one of the Trinity, Vishnu. So they went to Vishnu and asked him, well, what do we do about this? He says, well, there is something called the nectar of immortality, and that if you take this, you'll never die. So forget about dying and being brought back to life. You just never die. So they thought this was a pretty good idea, and they said, well, this sounds pretty good. How do we do it? And Vishnu says, well, there is something called the ocean of milk. If you churn it, in other words, have it do an activity like churning butter, out of that ocean of milk will come the nectar of immortality. And he says, okay, that sounds good. It sounds like something that we could do. He said, how do we do it? He says, Vishnu says, well, you may think you can do it, but it's going to require more strength than you have to do it. You have to go to the demons and tell them that you want to create this nectar. And they said, well, hey, just a minute. If we go to them and tell them that this can be done, then they may steal it and not give it to us. Okay? Some of them are psychic and can see the future. And Vishnu says not to worry. I'll make sure that you get it and they don't. So, but he said, you have to agree that whatever they say about the process, you will accept. And they thought about it for a while and says, okay, as long as you guarantee that we'll get it, we'll go make the deal. So they did. And the demons thought it was a pretty good deal because then they could be free of Shukra and his ability to bring them back to life. Plus, they wouldn't die. So, a little bit better than what they already had. So, they agreed to it. So, the first thing, they knew where the ocean of milk was, but they needed something big to stir it. So, they got one of the largest mountains on Earth at that time called Mount Meru. And they had a great deal of trouble carrying that weight. As a matter of fact, some of the demons and some of the angels were crushed by doing that. Finally, Vishnu had to take a physical form and help as well. So they placed Mount Meru in the ocean of milk. And then the ocean was so heavy, it started to sink into the mud. So Vishnu was called upon, and he took the form of a turtle and put the Mount Meru on its back, and he was able to support the mountain so that the demons and the angels could make it go back and forth. So one of the things they did in order to get a rope big enough and long enough, they asked a snake that had powers to extend itself so they could go around the mountain and use it to turn the mountain Meru. Before that happened, there had to be a decision on which group was going to hold the tail, which group was going to hold the head. And Vishnu stepped up and he grabbed the head, and all the angels were going to go line up behind him and help pull on him when the demon says, "No, we're not going to do this all." So Vishnu put down the head, went to the tail. So I don't want to go through all the things that appeared out of the ocean milk or the poison that came at first, the hala hala. If you're interested, we can talk about that further. The whole story is an allegory on the Kundalini, which is represented by the snake, and the mountain. So this is actually the allegorical tale, how you churn to create the nectar of immortality and secrete it from the pineal gland. So anyway, this is the story of the nectar of immortality being churned. Well, let me go off to the Christian side and I'm going to show you a book. It's called The New Mystics. Oh, I can see it there, good. Okay, and this is a history of miracle workers in the Christian church, both Catholics and Protestants and New Age and everything. So in this book, on page 148, Heidi Baker in the 1970s in Mozambique. Went to Mozambique as missionaries and tried to create a number of churches. They were successful very slowly. They created 2 shaky churches before she was empowered by the power of Christ. Okay. After she was empowered, she was able to became known as the one that brought babies back to life. There's many other stories, Francis Xavier, Saint Bernard. Okay, so because they're not in the Bible, hardly anybody knows about their success, being able to fly through the air. Okay, so this seems strange to marry these two different cultural expressions of the ability over life and death. I wanted to bring up the contrast before I tell you how it's done. There's a book that tells you exactly how to bring people back to life. The what is the purpose of having somebody bring someone else back to life? Does that say that person's powerful? Yes. Do they have an ability other people don't have? Yes. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, it says that the that the power to do things like this are powers in this realm, but are a hindrance to spiritual realization. I'm reminded, I keep track of people that are of the Christian faith. And there's a great healer named Benny Hinn. Now, I went to see him and watched him do his miracles. But even Benny Hinn, when they interviewed him, he said, well, I don't really know how this works. And I don't know why sometimes somebody's healed and sometimes people aren't. But even though he has this ability given by God, still he has problems. If you look up Benny Hinn, it'll talk about how he divorced his wife and married his secretary. And so the question, in my assessment when I saw him, that he wasn't realized, even though he had this ability. So the purpose of bringing up these two stories, or these two cultural ideas about life and death and restoring life, is about your own development. One of the things that yoga teaches you is that you're not the body. It does it in a number of different ways. It teaches you how to be good, how to use those states of being good to lead you on to self-realization. The guru of my guru, Swami Shiva, had an English mantra. And the English mantra goes like this: do good, be good, love, serve, meditate, realize. And this matches exactly the statement in the Bible, one of the Beatitudes. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Okay, that statement, they shall see God, doesn't mean that they'll see God right away, even after the heart is purified. And that purification process can sometimes be compared to the stirring up of karma inside your life. So, with that in mind, okay, so does that mean that you, as a person, can develop the ability to bring people back to life? Absolutely. Will this be a temptation for the ego? Absolutely. So to go back to Swami Shivananda's mantra, do good. To bring back somebody from the death, for them to exhaust their karma here is a good thing, right? Be good. So doing good leads to being good. So does that mean that you aren't good? You aren't being good when you do good? Yeah. You can really get sidetracked. Having said all that, let me read you, okay, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. This is a commentary by my own guru, Swami Shiva Satchidananda. Okay? And he was reluctant to have people learn to have cities. What he said about them was, uh, you should learn to walk first before you learn to run. And so the comparison he had was that learning to do good and be good prepares you for avoiding pitfalls when you learn to run. Let me just give you the translation of verse 39 of the third chapter. By loosening of the cause of the bondage of mind to body, and by the knowledge of the procedure of the mind stuff functioning, entering another's body is accomplished. Well, what does this have to do with bringing people back to life? By loosening of the cause of the bondage of the mind to the body. So you can leave your body if you loosen the attachment to the body. Okay? And by the knowledge of the procedure of the mind stuff functioning, entering another's body is accomplished. Okay, well, okay. You can leave your body and enter somebody else's body. So if you leave your body and you go into that person's body, do you know what caused them to die? Well, you have the knowledge of the procedure of the mind stuff functioning. If you know the procedure, can't you restart the mind? And then reestablish the bond between the mind and the body. Absolutely. So this is how it's done. Just as a further side note, verse 40 says, okay, By mastery over the Udana nerve current, the upward vital air, one accomplishes levitation over water, etc. Well, you may have known a person that not only could bring back people to life, but could walk on water. So this is where Jesus learned to do this. One of the things, okay, so I have been prompted to tell people about this, but I don't know exactly what to say to people if they were to contact me. Every case is different. All I know is that I was impelled to do this. So take it for what you will. And thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.